I'm Verene, a psychology major student.
And you're now listening to the Ink Thoughts podcast, where we ponder and talk about incongruous thoughts ranging from our daily life to the human mind.
It is probably a very much heard phrase everywhere, which is, it is okay to be not okay. But have you ever given it a minute or two to really think about it? Are you really giving yourself the space or the time to be not so okay when you really needed it? Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of Ink Thoughts podcast. Yes, it has been something that is on my list for quite some time now that I really wanted to talk about but didn't manage to yet. And this week, I guess I've put it off enough that I've decided that I shouldn't be putting it off any longer. I should really talk about it. And also because recently there has been something that inspired me to really think about it a lot more. So let's get into it, shall we? Well, I've never disclosed that although I came from a psychology background, I'm working in the mental health field for quite some time now, but sometimes my own mental health isn't at its best too. I do struggle to manage my mental health, my mental well-being, and managing my stress at the same time too. Well, some of you might have the same experience as me. Basically, what happened was, since young, I'm someone that has kind of a high expectation on myself in terms of I have to achieve good results. I have to be an obedient girl, listening to and following my parents or teachers' orders, mainly because I want and I wish to be so-called the good girl to my parents and my teachers. And so I've always been putting my stress and every other feelings aside most of the time, telling myself that, everything will be okay and I'm alright even before I've gotten the opportunity to process the feeling itself. Then, interestingly, I've learned to bottle things up even without me noticing it. Then, slowly, it developed into certain physical symptoms, but it's more because it's stress induced. It has been bothering me for quite some time, and finally, I went for an appointment to get doctor's consultation to slowly find out what is happening. And I further did some tests too, and it was confirmed that it has nothing to do with my body. I'm healthy enough. It is more of the psychological reasons. And therefore, I wasn't prescribed any medication but was suggested to try counseling instead. I then referred myself for counseling service, but the waiting list was very long, and so I waited for quite a long time. In between, I did try out some self-help methods like, doing journaling, trying to find out what I was so stressed about. I never really thought I was stressed until I started having conversation with my counselor. So I started having my counseling sessions, and I really find it helpful. I have to clarify that it isn't that people who study psychology or mental health related courses don't need the access for things like this. We can help ourselves and do whatever that we need to. It's not like this. Sometimes there are just times that some of us need a bit more support during certain period of time that is challenging or difficult to any of us. Yeah. And sometimes maybe you just need a person to talk to let things off your chest. Yeah. And like for me, I'm really frustrated with what I've been going through. The physical symptoms that I've been experiencing. I really want to get better. It has been impacting my life in so many different ways, including my career, daily lives, and my relationship with people around me. And admitting that I'm not alright during this moment of time, and access and accept the support that I'm needed is alright. It is okay to do so. I'm glad that I did too. Another thing that came to my mind when I was preparing for this episode was there was a period of time that my relationship with Andrew wasn't as happy. And when I went to work, it is a normal thing that people in the UK will always greet you whenever they see you with simple greetings like, how are you? Are you alright? Etc. And so when I was at work, my colleagues basically just asked me these questions in a very natural way. Of course, I answered them with, yeah, I'm alright, I'm good. Yeah, answers like this. However, after a whole morning of answering to different people in such a way, I can't take it anymore. I remembered I rushed to the toilet because I couldn't hold my tears any longer and I didn't want people to say it. I'm not okay. I'm not alright. But because I wasn't comfortable in a meeting that in that environment where I'm supposed to be supporting our patients, that time that I try to ignore or put aside my own needs. I'm needing the support too, and it is important that I get the support myself before I'm trying to support anyone else. And recently, when I started learning a bit more about accepting my feelings and the awareness towards my thoughts, I noticed that I've never been able to allow myself to sit with any kinds of emotions or feelings for a bit before moving on, no matter the positive or the negative feelings in the past. For example, like if I'm sad, I'll just tell myself like, it's alright and I'm strong enough to go through this without giving myself the opportunity to process it before I move on. And so I encountered this emotion wheel that breaks down different kind of feelings that branch into even more specific feelings. I used that for a bit to help myself understand what I was feeling, and surprisingly it actually helped. Because sometimes we might know that, yeah, I'm sad, but sad could consist of many different different other types of feelings in it. And by using the emotion wheel, I was able to be more aware of what specific feelings I was feeling during the moment itself. After being aware of how I was feeling, I could specify and work on that specific incidents directly affecting how I was feeling. And by doing that, I could work out what kind of thoughts and possible solutions that I could have to. Then things seem to get better. Even if things don't get better at this minute, at least I'm feeling a lot better. Therefore, the biggest lesson that I've learned was to let myself sit with the negative feelings for a bit. It is okay to be not okay. We are humans. We are not a perfect superman or superwoman that could have everything under our control. And it is totally alright to admit that you're not okay, that you needed some help or a bit more support than usual when you need it. And at the end of the day, you might even notice that when you admit that you needed some more support to people around you, you might even notice that actually there are a lot of people who truly love you surrounding you, which was one of the things that I'm really grateful for. Just wanted to remind everyone that you don't have to be the strongest you at all time. And no matter what state you are in, people who love you and support you will always do. So seek support when you need to. It is okay to not be okay. I guess that's it from me today. Thank you everyone for listening. And if you do have any thoughts around this to share with me, feel free to do so. I'd love to hear from you. And I'll see you next time. Goodbye.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the podcast. If you enjoyed, do share with your friends and family and leave us a review on the Apple Podcast. If you are not using an Apple device, you can leave a review on the Apple Podcast website with a link in the show notes. If you have any feedback or thoughts which you hope that we'll discuss in the future, feel free to email them to us at hello@incthoughts.com, or alternatively, you can send us a private message on our Facebook, Instagram or Twitter with the username of incthoughtspod. Thanks again, and see you all next week. Bye bye.